sharp jawline, prominent brow ridge, protruding cheekbones. These are some of the defining features of models. Why? Because it adds contour and texture to your face. It gives you a kind of fierce, mysterious look that advertisers and designers just love. It's aesthetic, sets you apart, right? So if you click this, you're probably wondering, is it possible to achieve sharper facial features? And I think you will find that it absolutely is. Let's talk about that. So your face obviously consists of three main things: your bone structure, your facial muscles, and your face fat. So, your bone structure. Let's talk about that first. You're probably thinking that you are stuck with the structure and the genetics that you have. And you mostly are. I'm not gonna lie to you. Some people absolutely are just gifted with great facial structure. They got wide gonions, they got a high hyoid bone, and even just a couple extra millimeters of your zygomatics could be the difference between looking like handsome Squidward and your single middle-aged ant. But what we do know is that you can make slight changes to your bone structure. Here's how. When you're being formed in your mother's womb, your skull and your facial bone structure comes together at certain fissures. This is where the bones bind together. So your face and skull is actually weaker at these fissures, and with conscious effort and daily habit, you can actually make slight changes at these fissures. An example of this is in older people when they start to have some atrophy of their face and some concavity to their facial structure, but also in the orthodontic realm. So my first advice is to speak with an orthodontist and see if they recommend something like braces or spacers at the roof of your mouth. If you think about it, if you have some sort of malocclusion where you have a narrow jaw and you have teeth that are overlapping, it's going to be narrower. So if you have spacers or braces, it can actually widen your jaw, giving space for these teeth to come in. And I would also recommend, if at all possible, to try to avoid having your wisdom teeth pulled. If you think about it, our ancestors, they didn't get their wisdom teeth pulled. What the? They were freaking, the technology wasn't even around to do that back then, and there was no need for it because back then our ancestors chewed tough meats and foods and were working their facial structure and muscles and growing more prominent jaws that made space and room for the wisdom teeth. Now, our faces have gradually declined to a place where they're so narrow that we can't even fit our necessary teeth in there. But with proper orthodontic and dental care, you may be able to avoid that and keep the original size and spacing of your mouth. Now, another thing you've probably heard of is called mewing, and this is something I'm a huge proponent. I've spoke about it so many times. It purely consists of pressing your tongue up against the roof of your mouth at all times. I'm gonna be honest with you, I do not know to what extent this is actually gonna change your facial skeletal structure. I think it does. I think it will over time with constant conditioning and pressure from your tongue up. I think it is possible to widen and kind of push forward your facial structure minimally. And we've seen a ton of before and after pictures, but the problem is there hasn't been any real long-term studies with conclusive results. But what I do know with 100% certainty is that by doing this, you do get an immediate change in your submental triangle right here. You raise your tongue up, it kind of brings up this double chin look, and it looks sharper, and you have a more 90-degree angle. So it looks like going from this to looking like this afterwards. So why not try that out? If you do it correctly in your practice and you get down the form right, you will have an immediate change in your side profile, the way that your jawline looks from the side. Worst case scenario, that's the only change that's happening. Best case scenario, you're also over time conditioning your face to grow upward and forward with better facial structure. I think this is such an important habit to adopt that I'm actually working with my team over at JAWLINER to create a product. This is what we call a mewing ring. This is something that you place in the back of your mouth and you push it up and you can actually create a suction that binds your tongue to the roof of your mouth to kind of condition you and maintain that proper tongue posture all day, every single day. So if this is something you would be interested in, please comment interested down below because, I'm always doing market research, trying to better understand you guys and see if this is something you guys would actually want and be interested in purchasing. So mewing, that is absolutely the second thing I would do after visiting an orthodontist to see if I have any orthodontic problems or issues that could be resolved to help achieve better facial structure. So that's the bone structure. Now let's talk about your muscles. If you look up how to get a jawline, how to get cheekbones, blah, 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 you'll be bombarded with all these videos on face yoga, facial exercises, this, that, the other. I've even made a couple of these videos. I've even tried out these facial exercises for years, and I've come to my own conclusion that I will no longer do facial exercises for 2 reasons alone. One is because you're simply not getting enough resistance to these facial muscles to redeem any actual improvements. I mean, you make facial expressions all day. If you just do more of that, then you're not gonna see really any change. You need some actual strong exponential resistance to achieve results. So no amount of going like that, this, and going like this is gonna result in any changes, in my opinion. The second reason is because the more that you're doing this, the facial expressions and the movement with your muscles is gonna actually be drawn on your face in wrinkles. You're gonna speed up the aging process by tugging and pulling on your skin. You know, if you do this 1,000 times, you're gonna start getting these forehead wrinkles. It's same with, you know, this part of your face and this part of your face. So stop it, relax your face. Now, one area that you can grow and make change to your facial muscles is this masseter muscle right here. This is one of the strongest muscles in your body, if not the strongest. So naturally, you have to train it with hard resistance to match its strength. So how do you do that? Well, I recommend chewing a tough gum. And what I recommend is this gum, my own gum, Brett's Jawline Chewing Gum, which is just a simple tablet chewing gum that I created with my partner's Jawliner. It is a gum that is 10 to 15 times harder than normal chewing gum. And you can go check out the reviews and the results on the website. I'll put the link in the description. Go check it out. This stuff definitely works. It is tough. After just 10 to 15 minutes of chewing this gum, you will feel not only a pump, but you will feel sore afterwards. It's that strong. If you're thinking it's snake oil or it's BS or something, that's fine. You can have your own opinion, but it's definitely not, because there's actually loads of medical cases where people have actually grown overdeveloped masseter muscles through clenching their teeth or grinding their teeth at night. And through this constant muscle hypertrophy, they have actually grown these masseter muscles exponentially. So we know that it definitely is possible, and the best way to achieve it, hard chewing gum. Or the other option is to get gonial fillers or cheek implants and things of this nature if you want to go the cosmetic procedure route. But I recommend trying the natural way first. So last but not least, the last element is your facial fat. Is this any surprise? It shouldn't be. If you have this beautiful structure underneath, but it's covered with fat, you're not even gonna know it's there. It's like having a chiseled six-pack, but if it's covered with fat because you have a shitty diet, you're not gonna see the six-pack that lies underneath. So you need to reduce your facial fat. You would be surprised at the effort and the consistency at which male models and fitness models pay attention and strictly follow a diet. Some going as low as 1,500 calories per day. When you melt away this fat on top of your face, 90% of people will see a large increase in the sharpness of their facial features. Now, of course, the safest way to achieve this, but also the one that requires the most patience and discipline, is reducing your daily calorie intake, being in a calorie deficit. So you're taking in less calories than you burn per day, so your body has no choice but to pull energy from your fat stores, resulting in a more lean, defined physique and face, and also increasing your cardiovascular exposition, you know, doing more cardio, running on the treadmill, hopping on the bike, swimming, whatever it might be. This is the best way to go about it. But obviously some people are going to go for the easier route, you know, taking an anabolic or something like Ozempic, which was originally used for diabetics and it helps you lose fat super fast, but I don't really recommend that. I recommend definitely going the more natural route. I think it's safer for your body in the long run. Or some people even opt for getting a cosmetic surgery like a buccal fat removal, where a surgeon will go in and take a little bit of the fat out of this buccal fat pad right here where your cheek is, so you can achieve a more hollow cheek look. One huge model that did this was Jordan Barrett. You can see the transformation of his face, and yeah, I think it looks good. A lot of people don't like the way it looks, but the problem with this is that when you get older, naturally this fat pad starts to dissolve a little bit just because of aging. So if you've already reduced this buccal fat pad and then you start losing even more fat, you're left with a huge hollow, you know, kind of cave in your cheek, and a lot of people aren't going to like the way that looks. So this, I would say, is a bit risky because you never know what your body is going to end up doing in the future. So I definitely recommend first trying to go the natural route. So just to summarize, this is what you should do to achieve sharper facial features. 1, go to the orthodontist to make sure you don't have any orthodontic issues that are restricting the width and the potential of your jaw and your face. Number 2, start mewing immediately just to achieve that more sharper right angle submental triangle, better side profile. Number 3, start doing cardio. Take in less calories than you expend per day, so you're kind of burning away that facial fat and, you know, you're getting toner in general. Last but not least, start training this masseter muscle here by chewing a tough gum. And if you grow this, it's going to pull the skin tighter, kind of creating this hollow cheek look. And if you have a more hollow cheek look here, that's also going to make your cheekbones appear to be more prominent and protruding. So it's a win-win altogether if you can achieve to grow this masseter muscle here. So I will leave the link to this down below. I highly recommend it. And then I'll also keep you updated when we release this mewing ring if you guys are interested. Again, let me know down below, comment interested if this is something that you would be interested in the future. So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't already, subscribe, turn notifications on, and until next time.